Russia has been developing a military capability to use against critical underwater infrastructure for decades. Gugi is developing capabilities. It's deployed from specialist surface vessels and submarines that are intended to be used to survey underwater infrastructure during peacetime, but then damage or destroy infrastructure in deep water during a conflict. Russia seeks to conduct this type of operation covertly without being held responsible. Such capabilities can be deployed from surface vessels like the Yantar. That's why Defence directed a change in the Royal Navy's posture so that we can better track and respond to the threats from this vessel and many others. The Yantar has once again been operating in and around the UK's EEZ for the second time this year. During this time, she was continuously monitored by Royal Navy frigate HMS Somerset and the RAF's P-8s. We will ensure that the Yantar is not able to conduct its mission unchallenged or untracked. But this has not been without difficulties. A laser assessed to be originating from the port side of the Yantar was directed at British personnel operating one of our P-8s. This was a highly dangerous and reckless attempt to disrupt our monitoring. The P-8 continued to monitor the Yantar's activity. Personnel, when they arrived back safe in the UK, were medically assessed post-incident, and no injuries were sustained. There was no damage was sustained to the aircraft or her equipment. Russia does not want us to know what they are doing. They do not want us to know what the Yantar is up to. It does not want the world to know what it is doing, but we will not be deterred. We will not let the Yantar go unchallenged as it attempts to survey our infrastructure, and we will work with our allies to ensure that Russia knows that any attempt to disrupt or damage underwater infrastructure will be met with the firmest of responses. And I'd like to finalise by saying a great thank you to the brave men and women of our Royal Navy and RAF that continue to keep us safe at home and abroad.
But surely what this incident really underlines, Mr. Speaker, is that Russia remains a serious threat. That being so, we couldn't help but notice that the Defence Secretary got the podium out for the media yesterday, just as the Defence Select Committee was publishing a damning report about Labour's total lack of progress on boosting our defence readiness. The report said that when it comes to readiness, the government are moving, and I quote, at a glacial pace. And on the subject of pace, the SDR promised a defence readiness bill which would include measures to deal with the grey zone threat, Mr. Speaker. But ministers recently told me it hasn't even been timetabled. So what year will the Defence Readiness Bill become law? Now, capability questions are going to be key when it comes to undersea cables. But every one of Labour's defence policy papers has been late. They promised to publish a defence investment plan, and I quote, in the autumn. With a week of that season remaining, will they keep that promise?
The honourable member is correct. Russia does remain a threat. With a conflict ongoing in Ukraine causing over 1,000 casualties a day, it is the biggest threat the UK has faced in a generation. It's worth noting, though, as we progress, from my perspective, the criticism to the government about not doing anything. You're trying to, collectively, the opposite side is trying to convince us that from 24 years of service and watching the degradation of defence, watching the lowest morale in armed forces, watching houses with families with leaky homes and damp, being equipped with equipment that isn't fit for purpose, watching ships go alongside that haven't left docks in years, looking at a decrepit and delay and downwriting of all of our defence capabilities, what we had to put up for. And now, in the first time in a generation, the military is looking to an increase in defence spending. It's looking with a strategic defence review, integrated missile defence, NATO first. By 2027, we'll run out steadfast December to look at a whole-of-society approach. $4 billion into uncrewed systems, $1.5 billion into munitions. The Defence Readiness Bill is another legislative process to push further changes through by the end of this Parliament. And then we talk about elements of the tip of our spear, recruitment and retention. I can assure you today, looking into the details, there isn't a recruitment and retention in the tip of the spear. Indeed, the recruitment and retention issues that we inherited created the smallest army since Napoleonic times, and that was the government on the other side of this bench. So before we start lecturing us a year and a half into government on how decrepit our defence is and downplaying our soldiers, Air Force and those individuals in the Navy, you should take some responsibility for the mismanagement of the defence portfolio for the last 14 years.